I think as far as like structure and the vision, we're getting there. We are. I mean, there's no moral victories in the season, all that, whatever, but I think we actually did. We took a step forward. We know position player-wise, we're in a good spot, and the pitching is getting better. We still got work to do, but I feel, like I said before the game, much better.
That's Alex Cora. Wrapping it up yesterday at Fenway Park. Red Sox finished the season 81-81. Tell me that isn't perfect. If you want to talk baseball, let me warn you now. This may be your last chance for all of 2024. Not just the 2024 baseball season, all of 2024. Do you know why, Jared Carrabis?
Why is that?
Because I don't get the sense that they are planning some sort of big blockbuster offseason. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But based on some of the vibes and messaging coming out of Fenway Park, whether you're talking about Craig Breslow or Sam Kennedy or Alex Cora, it doesn't sound like there's anything huge coming down the pike, so to speak. But we will get to that momentarily. In the interim, again, if you want to talk baseball, 617-779-0985. Jared Carrabis is here. It is our final baseball hour of the 2024 season. And let me tell you that Jared Carrabis is presented by Jared Carrabis of Underdog Fanasy. Is presented by Blue Moon Belgian White. Be sure to relax and enjoy the ball game with Blue Moon and Belgian White. That's Blue Moon, born in a ballpark, brewed for baseball. 617-779-0985.
You know what's crazy, Tony?
What's crazy, Jared?
When we do this again next year?
Yes.
10 years.
Is that right?
Yeah, I sent you the text the other day.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It said it was 9 years ago, right?
Yeah, it came up on my Facebook memories that it was 9 years. So next year will be 10 years.
You were thinner then.
Supplements and things of that nature. Yeah, well, been hanging out.
So I'll tell you what, the fact that it's been 9 years, it doesn't feel like 9 years, which is a credit to you because I usually get sick of people very quickly.
Are you saying you're not sick of me?
No, I'm not.
Oh, wow.
No,
it's also a credit to Jared that he's never dropped an F-bomb when his usual forums are
more liberal.
They're open to F-bombs.
Yeah, I was saying that back there.
I'd be great in podcast form.
You would, because nobody uses the F word better than you do.
Seriously.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because he's one of the Italians. Yeah. He drops an F-bomb like you wouldn't believe. But I was saying that to Jimmy. I was like, we've been doing this for a long time, and most of the content that I do, I'm allowed to say that word. But here,
no, you got to tighten it up.
I've never dropped it.
Yeah, no, these are public airwaves.
I've only been dropped one time, and it was because I said a word that I didn't know that you couldn't say.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Jimmy, can you tell me in my ear what that word was?
I think it was scumbag at the time. No.
I was on Zolak and Bertrand, and you can say, I'm super pissed off right now. But
you used it in the wrong context.
I said he bleeped down his leg on the mound, and they were like, "Whoa!" And I was like, "What?
Oh yeah, you can't say that as a verb.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Cannot say that as a verb.
It's weird.
So anyway, we'll get to your calls here momentarily. But Alex Cora says organization took a step forward. The pitching in the organization took a step forward. He believes that the playoffs are within reach next year. And then this is all from yesterday, by the way, from Cora. We will get to the particulars of Craig Breslow and really Craig Breslow more than anybody else. I think he's the guy. Cora, to me, didn't say anything particularly. I found this interesting, too, the dynamic today that Cora, it felt like, left the baseball judgment stuff to Breslow. Now, let me just specify, I have been on the air since they had their presser. Mm-hmm. So I did not see the presser live yet, or I haven't seen it live yet. My opinion may change when I see it. Mm-hmm. But based on what I've seen out there, most of the tangible, here's what we're looking for, here's what we're going to do stuff came from Breslow.
Sure.
And less from Cora, which we will get to momentarily. But let's start with this. They finish 81-81. How much of a better spot are they in, if at all, going into this offseason?
I think that they're in a much better spot this offseason than they were last year or the year before. Because
much better?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Tell me why.
all the top prospects that we kept talking about for the last 2 years are all in AAA right now. And we at least got to see a decent enough sample size of those guys where they all performed at that level. So we know that they're just a couple months away. I don't really expect any of those guys to make the team out of spring training next year. I don't even really want them to make the team out of spring training next year. I want them to sort of build up their confidence and then kind of come in hot. I don't want to have them. It's always cool when you see someone make the team out of spring training and they have their first opening day and they're a rookie. But for these guys in particular, start them at AAA, let them get hot, and then just boom, start firing off the missiles and have them come up kind of when they're ready to. But they're in a better position because now they know what they have. Wilyer Abreu, we didn't know what we had in Wilyer coming into this year. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the you've talked about this for years. The Red Sox ability to identify, is this a guy that we keep? Is this a guy that we trade? They haven't always been the best at that. This is the first offseason where we're going to get to evaluate that with Breslow. Because I think last year he kind of just hit the ground running. Dude got hired and they were like, all right, go. Middle of the offseason. This is I don't want to say make or break, but the first offseason where I think we can fairly critique or accurately judge his performance because he's had a year now to kind of get to this point.
To evaluate his own team.
Sure. Like now he doesn't need to be like, wait, who do we have again? Like, you're familiar, now go. So yeah, they're just in a much better position in terms of where their prospects are at and identifying who's expendable, who has value, and different areas of need that you can address.
Okay, so and look, again, people have different opinions on this. I don't think they're much different than they were a year ago, and I'll explain why. Now, I understand that the prospects in the system have advanced a level. Okay, that's good. I'm talking about the big league team, okay? And so are those guys closer to the big leagues? Yes, but when I look at the big league team, how many spots on the diamond do you think they have where you would say they have an above-average big league player at his position? And I went through and did this last week. You were with me on Wednesday last week. I went through and did this on Friday. I redid it today and put it on Twitter. But how many spots on the diamond would you say they're above average?
3.
Okay, so third base.
Yep.
And I'm going by WAR.
I don't think we're going to agree on the positions because I don't think you like Casas, do you?
Okay, so Casas this year, believe it or not,
yep,
was below average.
Well, yeah, but I mean, lost to injury. I'm talking, in my mind, do we have an above-average player at the first base position? Yes.
Okay, what if they trade him?
Then you have to tell me who's playing first.
Okay, so exactly, but it is possible that now. I'm not telling you it's likely. I'm just telling you it's possible.
Sure.
There's been some speculation about Casas. And this isn't subjective. I'm just going by where they ranked in WAR this year.
Well, I don't like that exercise.
Why not?
Well, because that excludes someone like Tristan Casas, who I do believe is an above-average player at first base.
Okay. So, but look, I'm just giving you the WAR.
All right, give me the WAR, you geek.
Okay. The only people who are above average in WAR, Rafael Devers, the 3 outfielders, Duran, Abreu, and O'Neill, but O'Neill's a free agent.
What are you classifying as above average?
Well, if you have, based on a certain number of plate appearances, if you're on the top half of WAR, you're above average.
Okay.
Okay. Connor Wong, for example, there were 16 catchers in the majors who had 400 plate appearances. Connor Wong ranked 14th of those 16. So he's not one of the top half of catchers in WAR who play regularly.
Sure.
Okay, below average. Tristan Casas, 29th out of 50.
We can throw that one out.
Okay.
Injury season.
Rafael Devers, 3rd out of 29. David Hamilton, I think, had more plate appearances at shortstop than anybody on the team. He's 31st out of 48.
Well, I mean, no one's looking at him as a future piece.
Okay, the three outfielders. Jarren Duran, Wilyer Abreu, Tyler O'Neill, all finished in the top half. Duran was 3rd. Those guys had pretty good years. O'Neill's a free agent, though, so you don't have him coming back. Of your starting pitchers, only Tanner Houck. The other 2 guys, Bayo had a good second half, but he was still below average. Cutter Crawford, below average. Nick Pivetta, also a free agent, below average. Kenley Jansen was above average, but he's a free agent. He's not coming back.
No.
Okay, so this is what concerns me, is that now, and let me just throw second base in the discussion.
Okay.
Who is the Red Sox second baseman this year? They didn't have one.
No, but who got the bulk there? David Hamilton?
Probably, but
Yeah.
again, is he the guy for the future?
No.
So they don't have one.
No, but the guy that they do have is really good.
Who?
Christian Campbell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not in the big leagues yet, so we don't know.
Not yet, but he could be.
So this is all I'm getting at. There's a lot of unknown there. So have they made progress? Maybe. Yes. It feels like in the minor leagues. They went 81 and 81. Last year they were 78 and 84.
See, we're not aligned on this at all. I don't care about the record this year. Like, if we're at the point now where Roman Anthony, Kyle Teal, Marcelo Meyer, and Christian Campbell are knocking on the door, I don't care at all what their record is in 2024. It could be a complete overhaul of a roster next year, especially once you start calling up those guys. And we've had this conversation before. I don't expect them to make an impact right away. Even if it's not 2025, if it's 2026, fine. As long as I can see it, as long as those guys are up here. And you know what's interesting too, Tony, is Alex Cora is the manager of the Boston Red Sox, and the comparison that I went to first was Dustin Pedroia in 2006, where he got called up. He was a 2004 sandwich pick, and they were like, this is the guy, and he's going to sink or swim, and if he sinks for a little bit, well, guess what? We're going to keep him in the pool until he starts swimming, because we know he can swim. And I think with these guys here, that's probably what it's going to have to be. Like, you're going to call up Teal and Meyer and Anthony especially, and Campbell especially. They're going to come up here, and if they sink for 2025, so be it. I'm fine with letting 2025 even be a developmental year for those guys, knowing that by 26, studs. Like, even if you hit on half, two of them, studs. Okay, then that's the future. And Alex Cora saw it with Pedroia, so that's good that he has that experience, and he advocated for it. When Pedroia was hitting whatever it was, like a $194, and people were saying Alex Cora should be starting at second base, Cora, who could benefit from being the starting second baseman of the Boston Red Sox, was like, that's the guy. That's the guy over there. So he has experience in that regard. So, yeah, I don't care what the record is for 2024. It is what it is, because the next season, it's not like those guys are already up here. The next team is going to look a lot different.
Okay, and look, and I just don't want to write off 2025. And the only thing I'll say in defense of, or to contrast what you just said about Pedroia, when Dustin Pedroia came up at the beginning, he hit at the bottom of the order.
Yeah.
Okay, that team had Manny Ramirez, and I'm going to 07 now, not 06. In 07, when he was a regular, Manny Ramirez, David Ortiz,
Mike Lowell,
J.D. Drew, Mike Lowell.
Kevin Youkilis.
They had signed Julio Lugo. Like, not that he was great, but nonetheless, they had big leaguers that could carry the weight.
Sure.
Particularly the guys in the middle of the order. Next year's team does not have that yet.
No.
Okay, so this is a question I'm going to ask you when you come back. And I mean you, Jared, but also you, the listener. What are you doing this offseason to help this team? What are you doing? Because when we come back, we're going to play for you what Craig Breslow said are the team's biggest needs, and I want to see whether or not you're in alignment with the guy who's ultimately going to be making the decisions. That's next on the Baseball Hour.
Sports Zone.
What do you need to do? What do you think you need to do pitching?
Yeah, so I think there are a number of things that we've already started to do, behind the scenes in terms of building out, a front office that we believe is modern and positions us to make great decisions as it relates to player acquisitions and player development. Some shifts in philosophy that we think will, help build a pitching talent development pipeline that will feed our big league team. But I think the reality here, right, is that, we shouldn't have to look behind the scenes to determine progress or success. That should be readily demonstrated by the product that we put on the field at Fenway every day. And so we need to improve our defense, right? We can point to a defense that was, kind of bottom of the league, especially our infield defense. We had the second most blown saves in the league, so shoring up our bullpen. Obviously our lineup is pretty imbalanced in terms of being left-handed heavy, figuring out how to balance that out, how to take advantage of, the short left field wall. We saw the effect of a guy like Tyler and 30-plus home runs, as a right-handed power hitter in the middle of the lineup. So I think the combination of, improving starting pitching depth, rebuilding the bullpen, we have some notable losses there, shoring up the defense and balancing out the lineup.
It's Craig Breslow from today. So let me summarize. The areas that the Red Sox need to improve, aside from my speech. Defense, particularly infield defense, the imbalanced lineup, got to get more right-handed. Starting pitching depth and bullpen. Correct me if I'm wrong. Those are all four things were last year too, weren't they?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Same four things.
Pretty much, yeah.
Last offseason, they didn't have a second.
Outfield defense was an issue last year, but they got better there.
A little bit.
No, significantally better.
I want to look that up.
They
Outfield
have
defense?
3 potential Gold Glovers, Tony.
In the outfield?
Oh, yeah. Abreu might win it. Is likely to at least be, top 2 or 3. Duran, I think, will get Gold Glove consideration. And Rafael, while he's been out there, has played Gold Glove caliber.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to look that up because I'm willing to bet that they had as many or more outfield errors as any team in baseball.
Errors is not the new way.
Bad metric?
Yeah.
I know.
Outs above average.
Silly thing.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they led baseball in errors, didn't they?
We'll check the outs above average.
Yeah. Get Milliken.
Defense, particularly in the infield, imbalanced lineup, starting pitching depth, bullpen. That's what they told me they were going to fix last year.
Well, I
and
think
they didn't.
They didn't, but they tried, I guess. I mean,
Did they?
Yeah.
Did they try to fix the pitching?
The bullpen, you got Greg Weissert for Alex Verdugo, who was pretty good. Pretty good. No, he was. He was good. Then he was bad. Then he was good again. Slayton, another guy where it's like, okay, yeah, he could be a eighth.
He's your
guy.
closer next year.
Where did the bullpen finish in blown saves this year?
First.
Okay.
Something like that. Close to it. I'm not saying Tony, I am not saying the bullpen was good. I'm just saying that they did make some additions that weren't here last year.
Okay, but again, they didn't get to a point where they'd be good enough.
Oh, no, they sucked.
So this is all I'm saying is whatever fixes they had last offseason didn't really work.
No, I agree with that.
Didn't really work. I'm stubborn on this one, Jared. I'm sorry.
No, I agree with you.
But they just didn't work. They're in the same spot.
You're right, Tony.
Thank you. I usually am. Let's go to Martin in Texas. Martin, what do you got? Just try to be quick, okay?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you guys for doing great shows on Baseball Hour in Section 10 this year. My wife says I need therapy in season, but this show in Section 10 kind of is my therapy, so I just want to see what you guys think what their realistic expectations are for pitching this offseason and go with that. Just thank you guys for a good season.
Thank you, Martin. This whole time, I had no idea that Martin in Texas was a Section 10 guy. I thought he was just like the most dedicated Baseball Hour guy of all time because he was always first to call in every single time. And when the Red Sox fell out of it, he stopped calling. And I was like, that's when if Martin in Texas is not on the line, the Red Sox are irrelevant. So that's good to know. He's listening to both shows.
So just quickly, Jared, who's not a Section 10 guy?
Pete Abraham of the Boston Globe.
Okay. Very good.
G-Bob.
Another Texas call. Bill in Texas. Bill, what do you got?
Hey, we're rocking the Section 10 here in Texas, too.
Hey, love that.
Watched over 140 games this year. 2 stats for you. We were 37 and 56 against teams with winning records. And the only team with a worse defense than us was the Miami Marlins. I'm usually positive, but this is a huge step back. We're a mess. If we don't be bold in the offseason, we're screwed. Thanks for a good season, guys.
So, Bill, this is the thing that worries me is, again, how bold are they going to be in the offseason? And, Jared, do you get any sense that they're going to be bold?
No. The tone today was underwhelming. Just listening to some of the responses, they felt very rehearsed. I said this when Breslow was in the Nesson booth the other day. He talks like he's on 1.5 speed. I don't know if you listen to podcasts at all, but
yes,
you can speed up the speech.
Course.
That's how he talks. It bothers me. I don't know why I mentioned that now, but just hearing him talk today, it's a lot of words, not a lot of like there was no urgency. There was, in years past, if the Red Sox had a disappointing season, and I hate to keep going back to Theo Epstein, I just love Theo, but he would speak not like a politician. He would speak like someone that a leader,
human.
Yes, like a real human, but a leader of an organization, and you believed in him. It was not eyewash. I feel like a lot of the responses today were very similar. It's the same stuff we heard the last 2 years when they missed the playoffs. There was nothing really different about it. It wasn't. I think that they're obviously being careful to not throw out a full throttle, so to speak, mantra going into the offseason. But nothing about what was said today was
inspiring,
motivational. Nothing gave me optimism. There was no quote that stood out where I was like, there it is. Like, it's different this year. Like, they have finally become as fed up as the fan base has. Nothing about it came across that way. So maybe, is there a connection where their, I guess, body language matches up with the offseason? Who knows? Like, I'm not going to sit here and say just because they're, exit meeting with the fan base at the end of the year, the energy wasn't there. It didn't inspire me, but that just, we'll see what actually happens. It really deflated me.
Jared,
today.
That's when you have an AI-generated general manager who talks like he's artificial intelligence. Doesn't help.
Yeah. Because I was thinking about it because I've never spoken to Breslow before, and Chaim used to talk like a nerd too, but he was an endearing nerd, and we've had him on the podcast, and he can laugh at himself. I don't know that Breslow can do that. Like
humorless.
It's not humorless, but can someone humanize him?
Yeah.
In some way?
Too smart.
Like, baseball's supposed to be fun, and you're talking. I don't know. There's something about it where I'm just like, I don't connect with this. As a fan who's fed up with the direction that the team has been going in over the last 6 years, and I'm looking for some sort of hope, a beacon of hope or inspiration to know things are going to change. I don't feel that way, and that sucks.
So they would tell you that the only way to do that is to win games. They might be right. But let me ask you this question, and not that this part of it really matters, but did you go today or did you just watch?
No, I just watched.
Okay. So, look, I wasn't there either. I mean, I'm the last person but I guess my question is this. With regard to the payroll, what was the message?
We're not telling you, which is awful. So Sam Kennedy was the one to speak on it. And I get where he's coming from, but there's a way to answer the question that wasn't how he answered the question. Where's the payroll at? Are you guys going to be spending this offseason? And Sam said, we think that it's kind of giving away a competitive advantage if we tell you about our payroll and our intentions with the payroll.
Yep.
My response to that is, you don't have to tell us how you're going to spend the money. You don't have to say, yeah, you know what? We've allocated hundreds of millions of dollars to be spread out for a Max Fried contract, and we're going to sign this guy. We're actually going to spend $600 million on Juan Soto. We just want to tell you we have a $600 million budget for Juan Soto. That's a competitive advantage. You can say we have all intentions in the world to spend money. We hear the complaints that we haven't been aggressive in free agency, and we haven't landed the big, shiny new toy in quite some time. We hear that, and we want to change that. You didn't say that. You just said, we're not going to tell you.
Okay, now why do you think they did not say that?
Because they're not going to. They're not.
Bingo.
They're not even going to come. They're not even going to. I would be shocked if I even heard the Red Sox name linked to Juan Soto, which is crazy. It's Boston. I don't even think that I'm so pathetic at this point and beaten down that I would be happy just to be linked to Juan Soto. I think he's going to go to the Mets. If he doesn't go to the Mets, he'll stay with the Yankees. Fine. I don't need him to come here. I would love if he did. But thinking about how happy it would make me just to see a tweet from Jeff Passan being like, sources, Red Sox are aggressive in their pursuit of Juan Soto. Wow. Aggressive in their pursuit of a generational talent that's going to be 26 years old, and if you sign him to a contract would be guaranteed to go into the Hall of Fame wearing a Red Sox hat. That's crazy. I remember when it used to be like that all the time. Like, just seeing that tweet that they're aggressively pursuing the guy would make me so happy. And if he signed with the Mets, it's like, that's fine. But knowing that they aggressively tried, be like, this is different. This is a change of pace. This is welcomed. I don't even think we're going to get that.
Nope. See, they beat me down, Jared. I've given up on this. And again, the other way to look at that is if they were to sign a guy like Soto, they could then trade Abreu or Duran. They'd keep Duran in all probability. But I'm just saying it opens up avenues for you to do other things.
Yeah.
Because you spent money. Like there's a trickle effect or a ripple effect. Anyway, Kevin Majori's got your headlines here. We'll get to your calls. What do you know? Ah, that wasn't so hard, Sam. Whom I like, but that is neither here nor there.
That's one person.
So, like,
I love Sam.
2.
oh, you don't want to be around 83, 84, 85 wins. No, you want to win the division. What? What? You haven't acted like it as an organization. They feel like a team that's content to win 85 games every year. That's about the ceiling of these teams the last 3 years. 85 win teams.
Well, see, Tony, if they had league average defense, they would have won 10 more games.
You know, and that is, again, that is, and they can point to whatever they want, but that is such bull crap.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. The way they look at that and they say, well, we need to improve our defense. You said that last year. Well, Trevor Story got hurt. Right, and you didn't have a plan B. There was no plan B.
You know
Sit
what
down,
really bothered
Rafi.
me about that?
What's that?
I said, you know what really bothered me about that?
What?
When they talked about winning the division, I was like, you used to talk about winning World Series.
Correct.
Yeah, you're like lowering the bar. I mean, winning the division's cool and all, because I think Breslow, like that was a Sam quote, but I think Breslow said, you know, we want to get back to winning the division and having long runs in October. It's like, okay, but why are you not saying win the World Series? Because that used to be the expectation. That used to be the goal.
Because the owners on record are saying that's a 1 in 30 chance.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe something like that.
We used to say stuff like that.
I know, and you know what, Jared? I'll tell you what. Right now, I'll take the division, and I'll tell you why. Because to win the division, you got to win 95 games. That used to be the goal. The goal for the Red Sox every year. Theo Epstein said this on the record. Our goal is to win 95 games every year and have an above-average player at every position. That's what he said. And if he didn't say it on the record, he said it to a group of media off the record. So whatever. But that was the goal. We think we should be able to win with our resources 95 games a year and, be in the playoffs every single year. That's what he said.
Tony,
every single year.
The division winners this year, Yankees 94, Cleveland 92, Houston 88, Phillies 95, Milwaukee 93, Dodgers 98. 95's the number.
Yeah, it is. It's 95. 95, like you can't say 100. We want to win 100 games every year because that's still a special season. I mean, the 2018 was an aberration in that way.
This year has been an aberration, honestly, for division winners.
You mean high or low?
Low.
Low, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. The numbers even, but 95 gets you in.
Sure.
Right? 95 guarantees you a playoff spot.
Yes.
You're in. So they should not be afraid of that. Like, well, again, the standards here have been way too low. Mark in New Hampshire. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, hey, quickly, my theme is it's all about the money. In defense of John Henry, he re-signed Devers, and, he did this thing with Chris Sale. But the whole thing is you can make a good ball game or ball team with Tampa Bay. So I'm just saying that this guy.
Hey, Mark, before I I put you on hold. How many World Series has Tampa Bay won again? Mark, can you tell me that?
Well, that really, I hate to say this, but it doesn't matter anymore because
what do you mean
you can make money.
No, it doesn't matter there. It doesn't matter in Tampa. It matters here. See, this is the problem. Is that you want to think of it practically, logically, rationally, and sports fans don't want to think that way. Sports fans want to compete and they want to win.
They want to think of it from a business sense. Like you can win 94 games, make the playoffs, and have a profitable season. I don't care how much money the owner makes. I want to win a championship.
Exactly. You want your team to play meaningful games and ultimately to win them. But listen, the average fan gets that you can't win the World Series every year. Can you at least try? Mm-hmm. Can you try?
There's a call right now that I'm very excited about.
Who?
Scott from Rentham.
Oh, you want Scott and Rentham on the phone?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Scott and Rentham, what do you got?
Yeah, just from an analytical perspective, looking at the win-loss records over the years of where the team is.
Scott, hold on 1 second. I thought this was Zoe.
It is.
It is.
Oh, all right. Go ahead. You didn't sound like Zoe. Go ahead, Scott.
I mean, I'm trying to be baseball, proper. Milton's trying to tell me today Milliken was trying to tell our show today that Will Fleming's drawing young viewers into the game.
He is. He moves the needle.
Oh, is he?
Yes.
Oh, really?
He should be doing TV with Merloni next year.
I heard this segment today, Zoe, and it was very disappointing from you guys.
For us?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is why I call, because you're the expert. I'm not. So no, you know me, Jared. You know me, and I love you, and I love that you started with us way back in the day. And you've exploded.
Oh, he's taking credit for you.
It's true.
You're welcome.
It is true.
I'm not.
It is true.
Jared, did we not go to bat for you?
So
I used to take my lunch break, go out in the parking lot, call into Zolak and Bertrand, and then that went from me calling in my car on my lunch break to them actually having me on to them having me in studio.
I love you so much.
what's your question? We don't do grab ass. What's your question?
So like today, I think Nightingale had top 20 jersey sales in the league, and I just can't remember a time where like a guy like Rafael Devers, like the Red Sox have a classic jersey. I remember growing up in Pittsburgh, and you loved the Yankee pinstripe. Like you wanted that. You want the A's. You wanted Texas. You wanted Boston. Jared, do you think it's disturbing like that jersey sales? Jersey sales indicate where the young kid's mind is, who's buying the product, what it is, and they're not making a dent on any of that.
So
they didn't have next year.
They didn't have anybody in the top 20?
They had nobody in the top 20, not even Devers.
Right.
I think Zoe, the best point, so Beetle and Zoe were at opening day this year, and the best point that they made was they were looking around and they said, how many players are you seeing jerseys of guys that are actually on the team right now? It's like, I see a few Devers, but like, that's about it. You know, you're seeing a lot of like the Glory Days guys. And how could you
Ramirez,
play?
Ortiz,
yes.
Pedroia,
Bogarts, Mookie.
Tell you what, you get the same thing in Foxborough right now. I hate to tell you.
Yeah.
Matt's in the car. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, fellas, thanks for taking my call. You know, you've been hitting the hammer on the nail, everything, but like when I hear Breslow talk, he sounds like a team game day sales intern. There is no conviction, no assurance, no motivation behind anything that he wants to say. And that's really frustrating in terms of what I think the future of the team will be in a few years. And I guess one more thing I'd like to, talk about is, do you think this team, compared to like a 2014, 2015 team where, they get some stars, they get some experience, they get some coaching and pitching under their belt, do you think they could crescendo towards like a 2018 result, something like that? So thanks for taking my call, guys.
Okay, Jared?
So I want to address Matt's first point. These press conferences, they don't have John Henry. They don't have Tom Warner. Yes, Craig Breslow is a nerd. I don't think there's anything wrong with nerds in baseball. But unless they, like a Dave Dombrowski, right? General managers, or whatever job title you want to say that's like a general manager, they are the financial advisor for the owner. Mm-hmm. Dave Dombrowski could convince John Henry to open up his wallet and spend money. He had that conviction. He had that aura about him, that leadership, that I'm the adult in the room. Whereas with Breslow, it's not necessarily his fault. He's new to the job. He probably shouldn't even have the job right now. It was kind of just no one else wanted it.
Correct.
So he's not in a position to be like, hey, John, you have to open up your wallet and spend money on Max Fried this winter. And then he's like, that's nice. Thanks for your opinion. And then he moves on with his day.
But Jared, wasn't the construct, the flow chart, Dombrowski, John Henry, and now it's John Henry, Sam Kennedy, Craig Breslow. So Breslow answers to Sam, and Sam needs to make a stronger point to John Henry to invest more money in the team.
Right. So to what Matt was saying about I just don't get the conviction from Breslow, it's because like Breslow doesn't have the gun. Like how is Breslow supposed to inspire and say things that are going to fire up the fan base when the fan base is so smart to know it doesn't matter if he wants to do X, Y, and Z. He can't do it unless John Henry says he can.
Correct.
So there was no one there at that meeting.
There's no pushback anymore, Jared.
Well, when Tom Warner said full throttle, I got excited because it's like, this guy can make full throttle happen if he wants to.
Exactly.
Breslow cannot. He can say we're going to go out there and have a monster offseason. He doesn't have the power to make that happen. Tom Warner does. So that's the difference and why it was so, oh, wow, like, Tom Warner doesn't talk like that. They must be for real if he's saying it, because he can actually make that happen.
And they don't want the Dombrowski guy anymore because that guy will give them pushback. They'd rather have an inexperienced GM that they can dictate to, and he's more apt to say yes because he hasn't done the job long enough. Matt's in Marlboro. Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about the product as a whole because, I think 3 straight non-winning seasons speak for themselves. But I also think the broadcast is subpar, the app is subpar, and going to Fenway isn't a huge investment for a team that has had a losing record at home the last 2 seasons. So I wanted to hear what you guys said about that, and thanks for providing a forum to allow me to complain about the team.
No worries. Appreciate it. We invented the forum. So, look, I don't know if you have an opinion on this, but I'm not going to put you in this spot because here's what I would say. The Red Sox, sadly, have gone minor league. Okay, they've gone minor league. You want an opinion on the whole thing, the ballpark experience, the broadcast, and what they invest in that. And Dave O'Brien's an impeccable play-by-play guy. He's a national voice. But I would tell you overall, it's all suffered. It's all suffered. All of it. The operation at Fenway Park, from the top to the bottom, everything about it has suffered. They used to be a complete top shelf. Why they've now decided to come down several notches in several areas, I don't know. Money, obviously, but what specifically led them to say, well, now we're going to skimp? And, this is a stupid small thing, but to me, Jared, the dining room at Fenway used to be dynamite. Dynamite. Now it's like Oakland. Okay? It's like small market, Mickey Mouse bullcrap. And this is how they're running their operation relative to what they were 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Mickey Mouse. They've decided to go Mickey Mouse. And I really don't see why they had to do that because they're making a fortune still.
Well, because, if you're a father and you have your firstborn, it's like, this is special. It's my firstborn. All the attention is going to go to the firstborn. Then you have a second kid. Then you have a third kid. Then you have a fourth kid. Then you have a fifth kid. And it's like, guess what? That firstborn, it's like, yeah, you're self-sufficient now. Like, you're good, right? You're fine.
So
you're making money.
To the next.
Yeah, that's what it is.
John in the car. John, go ahead.
Hey, Tony, God's work this year for this crap sandwich. Good for you, because I couldn't have done it. Tony, my question, twofold. First off, with Casas, I think you and I disagree. Last week I said I'd keep him. You cut me off, and you said it was because of the 3 home run game. And honestly, that has nothing to do with it. I just think they finally got a reasonable player that came from their system that they can control and potentially develop into a cornerstone of this team. And I think he's a little better than maybe you do. That's fine. We can disagree there, but it had nothing to do with his 3 home runs. My question: would the league ever get to the Red Sox and say, you're one of our pillars of this league, and this league is dying? Can you please put a team on the field that could potentially compete in September and perhaps October? Or is that something that's out of bounds?
So, look, John, I think the league can always say anything. Do you think they ever would, Jared?
No. And the league's not dying. Their revenue goes up every single year.
So here's what I would tell you, John. The Red Sox might say, okay, we'll play ball with you, but if we're going to spend more, are you going to give us some money? That's what they'll say. You're going to change the revenue sharing rules so we can put more in our pocket instead of giving it to Tampa Bay, who then shoves it in their pocket instead of putting it in the payroll, or some other teams like the Marlins who jam it in their pockets, or take your pick. That's one of the issues. You put in a salary floor, maybe you can get somewhere. Gonna be an interesting offseason, Jared, as always.
It is.
Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be as interesting as we would like.
Probably not.
But we'll see. They are who they are now, folks. I don't think that's going to change. They want to run it like a mid-market team. Jared, speaking for Jimmy Stewart, Kevin Majori, and mostly me, thank you for joining us this year.
Hey, thank you for having me again, Tony. This
Always.
is year number 10 on deck next year.
So how about that? 10 for Section 10.
Love that.
I like it.
A decade of
Picking up
dominance.
the option in real time for next season for Jared.
There's a marketing slogan in there somewhere. We'll figure it out. To those of you who have joined us throughout the year, thank you for that. And I'm not being the least bit disingenuous when I say that. It was not these last few years have not been an easy time to be a Red Sox fan. Again, I think they've taken us back to the early 90s. And the ratings on this show, I haven't seen the season-ending ratings yet. I'll have those relatively soon. But the ratings for this show, despite the team's mediocrity for the last several years, have been very, very strong. They've maintained, the ratings up here have stuck. So thank you for that. All right, we'll catch you next spring. Joe Murray's good.